I mean, yeah, probably. It's Smash Bros. But back in the ancient year of 2018, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate released for Nintendo Switch, and most are in agreement that aside from the one they made in a year and a half and is literally held together with duct tape and a prayer, it's the best entry in the series. With every previous fighter returning, the widest selection of stages and music ever, the re-addition of a single player story mode, it has just about everything Smash fans have asked for, aside from trophies, and it's really hard to think about where the series could possibly go from here.
Like, really hard to think about. How do you actually top this? How do you top Everyone Is Here? Melee beat 64 by expanding on everything it did to a, well, actually acceptable level. Brawl beat Melee by, well, it didn't actually beat Melee, but it beat Melee through the subspace emissary and its guest characters. 4 beat Brawl by being 2 separate games on 2 separate consoles, and Ultimate beat 4 by having every single previous character return. You just can't beat that! My name's... You're watching Brocodes. Let's explore a Smashless future.
Okay. I don't think it would be apocalyptic, but for a lot of people, it would be a doomsday scenario. Smash Bros means so much to so many. It's near impossible for most to imagine a Nintendo system without its own Smash hype train. Just think of Brawls, Fours, Ultimate's character reveal, Ultimate especially. I literally couldn't contain my excitement whenever that Smash Bros bumper hit during a Nintendo Direct. They truly nailed it with Ultimate. But that's a double-edged sword. Like I said, it feels almost impossible to top what Ultimate did, and I'm worried that, for a series that's consistently grown larger and grander with every entry, whatever they do next could feel like a letdown. So... what if they just gave us Ultimate again? It's funny, right? I'm 19 now, so I'm ancient enough to remember the Switch's rollout and Smash speculation, and most people agree they didn't really need a new Smash Bros that quickly. An enhanced port of Super Smash Bros for Wii U and 3DS would do just fine. And now we're back here again, talking about an enhanced port of Ultimate for the Switch 2. Just hear me out here though. If Ultimate is the de facto Smash game, the pinnacle of Sakurai's work, a celebration of gaming in its truest form, what if the move is to simply improve upon it slightly? I don't think the game is visually bad, but if you released it as a port with 2 or 3 additional fighters, stages, a sprinkling of new music tracks and other minor improvements looking at you online play, I don't think many could complain about that approach at all. Of course, it doesn't replace a new Smash Bros entirely. Part of what makes the hype train so magical is the fact it's a whole new game, but it allows a nice stopgap for fans to enjoy, and allows for developers even more time to come up with a truly show-stopping idea for Smash 6, whether that releases for the Switch 2 or not.
And when Smash Bros does eventually return, it'll be perfect, because Sakurai and his team at HAL Laboratory will have all the time of the world to dream up the perfect successor to, oh my god, Sakurai's retired, isn't he?
It is fucking over. Well, it's not, actually, because Sakurai announced he started work on a new game right after Smash Ultimate's DLC wrapped up, and he said before that he'd be willing to work with Nintendo again on a new Smash game, so he's basically Japanese retired. But look, he's not immortal, and I don't mean that in the sense I think he's gonna die soon, that's absurd. I mean that Smash games are huge productions, and no one, not even Sakurai, can keep pumping out games of that magnitude forever. But Brocodes, he's just the director. Can't you just, like, make the game without him? I hear you ask, and I promptly slap you as hard as I can across the face and say, don't you dare disrespect Sakurai again! I mean, you're kind of right. But Smash Bros is Sakurai's baby. He's been the sole director of the series since it was created in 1996. Throughout the build-up to release and post-launch of 4, and especially Ultimate, he was the public figurehead of the game. It is entirely fair to say that while Nintendo definitely could make a Smash Bros without Sakurai, it genuinely might not feel the same without him. So what if they just didn't? Out of respect to Sakurai, Nintendo choose not to develop a new Smash title at all. What would they do instead? Everyone's debated turning Mario Kart into a crossover Nintendo title since they added Link and Animal Crossing tracks in Mario Kart 8. What if they opt to actually make a Nintendo Kart to fill the whole Smash would leave?
The other day, I saw someone online who, after they'd written their entire essay, realised they'd managed to convince themselves to disagree with their initial thesis. And now I know what that feels like. Not only is Smash Bros going to stick around for a while yet, its next entry seems inevitable by now. and I think that's simply because
it's Smash Bros. I think that sentence kind of argues for itself, to be perfectly honest. It's so hard to imagine life without Smash Bros because Smash Bros has been around since Nintendo consoles were 64-bit. It makes an eye-watering amount of money, it's played for many years after release by a large amount of players both casually and professionally. It makes no logical sense to simply abandon a franchise because, what, some fans think they can't get any better from here? Am I projecting? Also, contrary to what I said a couple of minutes ago, I don't think Sakurai is done with Smash. Obviously, I don't have an in-depth look into his thoughts on Smash and his psyche in general because, come on, that'd be weird. But I don't think a man that sits down and presents every single DLC fighter that came to the game is done with Smash Bros. But even if he was, Nintendo wants money. For better or for worse, Smash will move tens of millions of console units and tens of millions of its own copies. Hell, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is literally the best-selling fighter game ever. I do think there might be a universe that sees Smash Ultimate as the final entry. I wouldn't have made this video if there wasn't a genuine argument for calling it quits here. I don't want to waste your time. But I think it's fairly obvious that at some point or another, we'll have a Super Smash Bros. 6. So what are they gonna do? The smartest minds on Twitter would probably say Everyone Is Here Again has to happen, but I really don't think it's even a possibility. Sakurai said around the release of Ultimate that bringing back every previous fighter was nothing short of a miracle and probably couldn't ever happen again, which is the entire reason I wanted to talk about a Smashless future in the first place. How do you top a Smash Bros with nearly 100 fighters? Well, to grow a great oak tree, you've got to tend to the sapling first, and let's face it, Smash Bros.'s saplings have been neglected for some time now.
The original Smash Bros. Roster, or Smash Ultimate starting roster, hasn't really been touched since Smash 64. What if we got a Smash game that was focused on, well, it doesn't have to be focused on, but a Smash game that overhauled the movesets of its original 12 fighters?
Like seriously, Mario is fighter numero uno, and the most updates I've seen to his moves since then was giving him the flood down special in Brawl. I think Link got remote bombs in Ultimate that could genuinely be the only change he's had. Aside from the addition of final smashes and side specials, which are series-wide changes, these characters are honestly screaming for some attention. Give Link some moves from his Sheikah Slate in Breath of the Wild. Bring some Crafted World or Woolly World influence into Yoshi's movesets. Sorry NES mains, there's so much new material for most of these fighters, and either way, after nearly 30 years of an identical moveset, surely we can think of something new for these fighters. And I mean, this is absurd, right? But Smash Bros.' 30th anniversary is right around the corner. It would literally go against everything I just said for them to make a 30th anniversary game literally next year. But if there's any time to do an overhaul of the original fighters, anyway, it's not going to happen. I need to stop daydreaming about this. I need to shut my wallet before all of my Switch 2 money flies right out of it. Is there anything they can do that doesn't rely on Everyone Is Here, doesn't have to happen in 2026, and is still interesting enough to point blank justify a new game after Ultimate?
Break Smash Bros?
This kind of falls into the filling a gap category that an Ultimate port would, in the sense that most will spit out their food and cry if you try and pretend it's a mainline entry. But what if you made a 3D fighting game out of Smash Bros? It'd be a radical shift in gameplay and create hellish amounts of work for the devs, I imagine. But what if a massive shake-up of the formula means adding a whole new dimension? Smash would be almost unrecognizable, but maybe after reaching its apex with Ultimate, that's what it needs? Or maybe that's too much change and people would rather throw up in their mouths and play a 3D Smash Bros. I don't know, to be honest. Maybe a big shift in how the series works is the way to separate future games from the grandness and finality of Ultimate, or maybe it'll nuke the series forever and no one will like it. What if they made Super Smash Bros. Tag Team, where you swap in and out with another fighter like in Mario Kart Double Dash? Or Super Smash Bros. Battle Royale, where 100 fighters get together on a larger stage that slowly shrinks in an effort to be the last one standing. That first one doesn't sound too bad actually, but the last one makes me think I should give up my game production studies and leave it to the talent at HAL to actually think of the next Smash Bros. Because ultimately, I think they have this covered.
So let's go back to the main point just to put a little bow in this whole train wreck of a video. Will there be a new Smash Bros? Yeah, there's gonna be a new Smash Bros. But I don't think there's any denying just how monumental of an entry Ultimate was. I don't think it's necessarily stupid to imagine that the next entry won't be able to top that. Hell, I don't think it will top the spectacle of Ultimate for sure. But it will be a great video game. There's no denying that, and it will happen. Hal really should revisit that Battle Royale idea, but I really think it has potential. I know it's my own creation, but I really think it has potential. Hal, if you want to take me on to be like a junior consultant for that idea, please, I need the work placement. Please, please, God, give me a career.